Yeah, okay. So we'll discuss about different levels of software testing and what are the different types of software testing and what are the technical terms when we use when discussing about these types of testing. Okay. So coming to testing levels, there are differently three types of levels performed. Okay. They are unit testing, integration testing, and system testing. So these are performed line by line. So first unit testing is performed, continued by integration testing and system testing. So first we'll discuss about what is unit testing. Unit testing, to tell simply, it's nothing but testing the components of a system as units. That means if a system has three components, you will be testing one component at a time. So testing as a unit. So if it has three parts, we'll test one part once, second part once, and third part once. So we are testing three times. So we are testing as units. So that is the main keyword used in unit testing. So if anyone asks you what is unit testing, you can say like it's a software development process in which each single unit of a software is tested individually. Okay, so that's the major thing of testing. And the next thing is it's generally performed during the development process. Okay, so when an application is being developed, this type of testing is performed. Mostly this type of testing is performed by developers, and sometimes only it is performed by testers. Okay, so unit testing is like we will test each component individually. And the second point is this testing is done during the development phase. And the third point is this testing is mostly done by developers, and at times it will be done by the QA team also upon intimation from the development team. Okay, so these are the main breakdowns of unit testing. And after unit testing, we will be performing integration testing. Okay, so this integration testing is one of the phases of software testing. Okay, here also the main thing in integration testing is like we verify the interaction between the system components. Okay, that means how the components are interacting together. Like simply if we take a computer, if CPU and monitor function well only, then it will work, right? Otherwise it won't work. So integration testing is like testing the interaction between the system components. So every part of the system, it should work fine, otherwise it will be a failure. So that is the main thing of an integration testing. Okay, so this integration testing is performed after unit testing. Okay, so the main purpose of this integration testing is it tells you if there are any errors in the software components, or if there are if the functionality is not working good, or else it will tell you, because that's the main aim of an integration testing. Okay, so it's the major step in the application development process. Okay, so integration testing as a whole, like it tests the interaction between components, if they are functioning well or not, and it tells you at the end which function, which functionality is affecting the affecting the issue. Okay, so this is the main thing about integration testing. So once integration testing is done, the next type of testing we perform is system testing. Okay, so what do you mean? So system testing is a white box testing technique. So about white box and black box testing, we'll see in the next phases. So coming to system testing alone, it's a type of testing that is performed on a complete integrated system. That is like after we perform integration testing only, we will be performing system testing. So on a component or system which is tested for integration testing, the system testing is performed. Okay, so that is completely performed on a completely integrated system, which is used to evaluate the compliance of the system. That means compliance in the sense like if it's meeting all the requirements and everything. So in system testing, what we take as an input is the in integration testing, we will be testing we'll be testing the components, right? So if every component works well only, the system works good. So that is the input here, and we test them again in system testing. Okay, so the main thing about system testing is like it's testing a fully integrated software product. Okay, it's testing a fully integrated software product, and the tester should have knowledge on fully inner design of the code. Okay, because if the tester doesn't have full knowledge on the inner components and functionalities, you can't do the system testing. So these are the major three types of software testing performed. Okay, unit integration and system testing. So after this, there are some different types of software testings. These are the levels of software testing, and now we are going to discuss about some different types of software testing. So why we are discussing this is like this can be asked during the interviews as simple definitions. Okay, so they will ask you like what do you mean by formal and informal testing. So you can tell like the main difference between formal and informal testing is the person who is testing the application. Formal testing is done by testers, and informal testing it's done by developers. So formal testing is like testers will do the testing and they will intimate the developers that there is a bug in this functionality or something. Then what is informal testing? Informal testing it's done by developers because they will check by their end like it's working or not. Before informing the testers only, they will check, because if they give the wrong code to the testers and the bug comes to them, their team lead or manager, they will scold them, right? So in some cases they will perform informal testing. Mostly they will perform this when it's a critical functionality, like when it is a very critical functionality and the targets are meeting soon, then they will perform this type of testing. Okay, that is formal and informal testing. The next thing is manual testing. Manual testing is nothing but testing the software manually using some software tools described by the project. Okay, so that's manual testing. So that's what we are going to do at the end of the day, like test case design, test scenarios, everything. So next thing is automated testing. Automation testing is nothing but using some tools to automate the testing process. Like what we are doing in manual testing is we are using an application to test the login page or something else. So we are testing manually. Instead of testing that manually, writing some code and testing it in some web driver like Selenium or UFT or even SOAP UI or anything. That's the main importance of automation testing. So the main difference between manual and automation testing is like automation testing really requires a more skilled worker when compared to manual testing, because like in a manual testing you'll be just testing the application manually. So if you know what tool you are using and what are its end features and what are the what are the end product you are testing, you can easily test it. But coming to automation testing, it's not a easy piece of cake. Okay, so for automation testing you should know a coding language, then you should know the automation tool, then you should know some framework, you should even know some SQL queries and everything. So automation testing is somewhat critical when compared to manual testing. So they will consider more skilled quality assurance professional to the automation tester, even manual testing. Okay, so I'm not degrading, but everyone has their unique things, but automation testing requires more skilled workers. Then coming to black box testing and white box testing. So these both are the major testing types, black box testing and white box testing. They will ask about these mostly in the interviews also. So we'll discuss one by one. Okay. So instead of discussing like this, we can discuss like what are the major differences between black box testing versus white box testing. So it will be more clear for you to understand. So coming to black box testing, it's a software testing in which internal structure by design is tested. Okay, this is not known to tester. Okay, so this black box testing is mostly done by developers. And then white box testing, it's also testing the internal structure or design, and this is known to the tester. And now coming to main differences, coming to black box testing, we need not have any knowledge of how the process is going on. Okay, because it is referred as external testing. And here we are testing the functionality of the software. And in black box testing, there is no need of learning any programming language. It's like testing the behavior only. And it is also called as closed testing sometimes. And it takes very less time also. Okay. That is the major keywords of black box testing. Okay, so the main thing you should remember is black box testing, it is mostly done by software testers, and no programming knowledge is required, and it can be initiated on basis of requirement specifications document. That means yesterday we discussed the phases of STLC, right? The first phase is requirement analysis. So requirement gathering. So while we are gathering the requirements, they will be sending you a document which is called as requirement specification document. So viewing that document will perform this type of testing. And it is also called as closed testing, and it's less time consuming. Okay, so now if someone asks you what is black box testing, how will you describe it? It's a type of software testing where the internal structure of the program is tested, and this type of testing is generally done by software testers, and no programming language is no knowledge on programming language is needed here. And this type of testing is also called as closed testing. Okay, so this is the thing. And coming to the types of black box testing, we have three types of black box testing, like functional testing, non-functional testing, and regression testing. Yeah, actually I'm going very slow. Please write the keywords in a paper, in a piece of paper, because it will be better for your understanding. Because everything I can't present in the PPT, so I will be spelling out of my mouth, so you can take a note of them. So the different types of the different types of black box testing are like functional testing, non-functional testing, and regression testing. So this is much about black box testing. So coming to the next topic, white box testing. White box testing is nothing but it analyzes the internal structures. Okay, that means it analyzes the internal functionality. So the input here is it will take requirements, functional specifications, and the source code as the input, and then it performs the risk analysis. Okay, so to explain an overall view, what is white box testing?
Sir, again, please tell me about white box testing, sir.
Yeah, I haven't completed. I have just started. I'm sorry. Yeah, white box testing, like the first point is like white box testing is also called as glass box testing or open box testing. Okay, so this type of testing is mainly used for memory leaks. If there are any memory leaks in the application, this type of testing is used, white box testing. Then why it is called as white box testing? Because the code is visible to the tester during examination. So the user can view the code while doing the white box testing. Okay, so these are the main points of white box testing. Like here, software tester has knowledge of backend structure and language of the software, or at least its purpose. The thing is, like while we are performing software testing, the component or something you are developed, or system or software that is already developed. Okay, so you will have the source code in Selenium WebDriver or in Visual Studio or PyCharm or anything, depending on the language. So you can have a look at the programming language while you are running the white box testing. So that is the major difference between white box and black box testing. Because during black box testing, the tester cannot view the code, or he doesn't know anything about the backend application or anything. But coming to white box testing, he has knowledge on the backend thing, and he can be directly have access to the programming code which is written to test that particular application which you are doing. Okay, so that is the major difference between black box testing and white box testing. The next thing is again unit testing. You have performed unit testing. Then functional
There
testing.
is no types in white box testing, sir.
Yeah, actually, white box testing. Sorry, I missed it. That unit testing falls on unit testing. Penetration testing falls under white box testing techniques. Okay.
Sorry, come again, sir. Come again, sir.
Unit testing, unit testing, and sorry, unit testing and penetration testing.
Okay, sir.
Unit testing is like we discussed it before, right?
Yeah, sir.
And penetration testing is like without any security threats will protect the code. Okay, like there will be some security attacks to the code, right? So that will deal with cyber security team will take care of that, but to test that we'll use penetration testing. So while doing this type of penetration testing, a developer or tester must know where the application runs and compiles the application code. Okay, because without knowing the IP address and where the code is running and what are the properties of system and something, we can't do the penetration testing. So white box testing has two types similarly, like unit testing and penetration testing. And major difference between a black box testing and a white box testing is like, in black box testing we don't have any knowledge on the code or backend thing, but in white box testing a tester can view the code because the software or application which you are testing is already live into the market. Okay, so that's the thing. And coming to functional testing, like functional testing is nothing but verifying if each module functions which are given in the specification document, they're working fine or not. Okay, like functioning, like physical functioning of the like the system or software, it's working or not, is functional testing. And coming to this end-to-end testing, these are all on it. Then we will discuss mostly about the smoke sanity testing and regression testing now. Now coming to smoke and sanity testing. Okay, like you are attending as experience interviews, right? So this thing will be asked mostly in interviews, like what is smoke testing or sanity testing. So the first thing is like I will discuss you about smoke testing, and then we will come to differences between smoke testing and sanity testing. Then you will get a clear idea. Okay. Yeah, like smoke testing is like it's a type of testing which is performed at the beginning of the day. Okay, why this testing is performed is like to test the critical functionalities. Okay, what is smoke testing? If someone asks, smoke testing is a type of testing which is performed at the beginning of the day to see if the critical functionalities are working as expected. So now you have a doubt, what are critical functionalities? So you are working on a banking project. So the critical functionalities there is the bank website is working fine or not. Okay, in a bank what we will do, account creation scenarios are measured. Okay, so if account creation thing is working good or not, then what you will do, withdrawal or a wire transfer. So these are the major functionalities. So we'll at the beginning of the day we will be testing if these functionalities are working good or not. Now a question will be arising, how will we test the critical functionalities? So any top MNC or anyone, what they will do is they will contact their automation team and they will develop the test scripts or coding for these four major functionalities, and then they will be giving it to the manual testers, and manual testers will have a minimal knowledge on at least how to run the code and debug the code. So what, as a manual tester, what you will do is you log in into your system, you'll open Selenium, you will have test scripts already. So what you will do is you will just run it. You will run it and see if it is working good or not. If it's not working good, you will raise a defect to the developer team that this functionality is not working or not. Okay. So I'm stressing this because this is a major interview question which will be asked if you put it into your resume. So they will ask, okay, you performed smoke testing in your team. So what are your major responsibilities and what is smoke testing and how you performed it? So you will tell like smoke testing is generally the testing which is performed to test if the critical functionalities of a software are working fine or not. Okay. Then to give an example, I generally worked for a banking project in which the critical functionalities are banking website is working fine or not, and then account creation scenario followed by withdrawal and wire transfer. So to test this, we will be having an automation scripts which are developed in Selenium by our automation team, and we will be running those scripts at the beginning of the day, and we will be reporting to the developers if it's working fine or not. If a defect arises, we will intimate to them directly, because if we get stuck in these major functionalities at the beginning of the day, the entire day will go in risk because the productivity will be affected, and at the end of the day we can't run or execute any test cases. So, and I also have some knowledge on giving knowledge transfer to my team on smoke testing because I am responsible for this in my team. So this is the way you should explain. Okay. If they ask about smoke testing, what is the major difference between smoke testing and sanity testing? They will ask, what is the difference between smoke testing and sanity testing? Okay. So again, I will explain again because it's an important thing. So the main thing about smoke testing is to test if the critical functionalities are working fine or not, and it is performed at the beginning of the day. If you find any errors, inform to the development team. Otherwise, it will affect the productivity of the entire day. So this is the thing about smoke testing. Okay. Everyone understood, right? Smoke testing.
Gauss,
Yeah,
సార్ మాట్లాడేది వినిపిస్తుందా?
లేదు మ్యూట్ లో పెట్టారు.
చెప్పండి బ్రో. సారీ బ్రో, మ్యూట్ లో ఉంది. ఓకే. Everyone understood, right? Smoke testing.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
Now
sir.
we will see about what is the major difference between smoke testing and sanity testing. They will ask, what is the difference between smoke and sanity? You should tell like, the major difference between smoke testing and sanity testing is smoke testing is performed to test the critical functionalities are working fine or not, and sanity testing is done to check if the defects fixed after the build are working fine or not. That means sanity testing in simple words is like, a developer will build the application, right? So after building the application, you will test it. After testing it, you will find some defects. and then again you will send those defects to the developer. The developer will be testing them, and right after the developer fixes those bugs, you will test it again. So that is sanity testing. So sanity testing is like, if an application is developed by developer, and then if you test and if you have some defects or bugs, and then the developer again redoes that, and then you test it, that is sanity testing. So to explain it in English words, you can say like sanity testing is a type of testing which is performed to check that the bugs have been fixed after the build. Build is nothing but after the development, the development or the end product is released. Okay. So that's the major difference between smoke testing and sanity testing. And going to our next topic, regression testing. As from the past 2 days, I am discussing about this thing, regression testing. Okay. So what is meant by regression testing is like existing functionality.
Sir, can you repeat the sanity testing?
Yeah, okay. Like sanity testing is nothing but testing an existing build is working or not. Okay. So how we do sanity testing is, a developer will develop an application, right? So then if you test and find some bugs, again you will go back to the developer like, hi, we have these bugs, and then he will correct them, and then he will send you like, hi, I have tested the bugs and now the application is working fine. So then you again perform testing and see if defects are there or not. So that is sanity testing. So like sanity testing is like testing the bug, sanity testing is like testing to check if bugs have been fixed after the build. Build is nothing but the software product that is released into the market. Okay. So that is sanity testing. Are you good now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is meant by regression testing?
సార్ కొంచెం
Regression.
స్లోగా చెప్పండి సార్ ప్లీజ్.
Okay. Then regression testing. Regression testing is nothing but okay. So regression testing main aim is like to check if the code changes which are done are not affecting the system functionality. Okay. So if you have done some code changes, so if you have done the code changes, that should not affect the functionality. That means if you take a general IRCTC login page, okay, it has a username and then it has password, and it has some interface like it has a distinct color or something, and then some developer is coming in and he is changing the code. But after changing the code, if you test the page, it should be the same thing, like it should be the same interface. And for username, if previously it allowed only special characters, it should allow the same special characters only. Okay. Like the thing is, if we test an application, if you debug an application or something, the interface should not be changed, but the problem should be solved. Okay. So that is the main thing of regression testing. So it is also called as retesting. So as told before, the main thing is, after a code change is done, like if fixing bugs or something, it should not impact the existing software functionality. So that is the main aim of a regression testing. So if you take any software company or anything, they will use this regression testing continuously, because at the end of the day their client will be asking like their client will be more focusing on the application only, right? So application should not change, that its features should not change. So this regression testing will be carried out most number of times. So if you have an application, you wrote 100 test cases, you ran that, and there are some code fixes, Then a developer comes in and he fixes the bugs. Then again, you test the same 100 test cases again as a regression testing to check if it does not have any impact on the software system, sorry, in the system. So that is the major thing of regression testing. And the cool part about regression testing is like if you enter as a fresher also, if you are given to do regression testing, you should be very cool because those 100 cases are already executed by someone in the team, and you'll have a code, you'll have a like you'll have a directory for that. So you can even refer the test cases, you can see the screenshot and learn how the application works, and you can take it from there. So regression testing is is relatively easy, but it is also headache because like they will target to complete that in very less time, but so it will be a hectic work during those times. Okay, so that is much about regression testing. And acceptance testing is like testing if the system is if the software you developed or something is designed or developed as per the customer requirements. So if a customer come and told you like in this particular website I need a blue interface, so you have developed the application and everything. Okay, so we should see like if that blue color is coming up. So testing that is called as end user acceptance testing. Sorry, it's acceptance testing or end user acceptance testing. Okay, so the next thing is ad hoc testing, configuration testing, load testing. We have different types of testing, we can discuss later, but I want to test if you have understood till here or not. Okay, so please someone go ahead and explain me what is unit testing.
Unit testing is a testing each component individually, sir.
Okay,
Testing
each
each component individually.
Okay, fine, good. Then please explain, someone please explain me about black box testing.
Testing software without any knowledge of backend of the system, sir.
Okay, then next, any other point you remember?
It's
In
also called
black,
as closure testing, sir.
Yeah, and it's done by
black,
testers.
No
Yes, sir.
programming knowledge required, sir.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, okay. So now what
Less
is
time consuming, sir.
yeah, less time consuming. And then what is the major difference between black box and white box testing?
It is
black box testing done by the testers only without any knowledge of coding.
Okay.
White box testing done by the developers.
Sir,
At the time of
analysis the
developing
internal
code.
program, sir. White box testing is also analysis the internal program. Black box testing, we don't see the program, sir.
Yeah, that's correct, because
Yeah.
black box testing also can be done by testers and both can be done, but the coding view is different. Yeah. Okay, then what is smoke testing? Smoke testing and how is it performed?
Smoke testing, it tests the critical functionalities worked on expectations. It
Okay.
performs a test on testing beginning of day.
Okay. So how will
And
test
coming
that?
to-
You will use manual testing or automation testing?
Sorry, sir, I didn't
Manual
understand.
testing.
So
It's
in
come on
smoke
manual
testing,
testing.
no. In smoke, while explaining smoke testing, I told you right, to test the critical functionalities, there will be some automation scripts which are
Automation
developed
scripts.
by the
Automation.
automation team. Yeah. We can't test that manually because we will do that in automation wise only. Okay. You remember that. And then what is the
Okay.
major difference between smoke and sanity testing?
Sanity testing is a type of which is performed. Bugs are fixed. Any defects are fixed after the build, sir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, fine. That's good. That's sanity testing, and smoke testing is testing critical functionality.
okay.
Yeah, okay. Till now, most of the testing techniques and everything are covered. So no need to explain those every technique because that's not useful. So in tomorrow class, I will explain you about test cases, test scenarios, and how you get user stories from the client, and how to convert those user stories into test cases. And tomorrow will be a theory session, and after tomorrow we will be going on to create test cases. So how it will be done is like I will be taking one website like IRCTC or something. I will tell you how to extract some test cases like 30 or 45, and then I will explain you how to write a test case. And then I have some test cases which are built like with Mica